The Drum Candy Podcast is brought to you by Drum Factory Direct.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into episode 2 of season 3 of the Drum Candy Podcast. This is your host, Mike Dawson, coming to you from Drum Factory Direct in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This might be the nerdiest episode yet. This week, we are checking out 6 different maple snare drums. They're all 5.5 by 14. They're all made of maple, and 3 of them have re-rings, 3 of them don't. 1 of them has wood hoops, and then 1 of them has a solid shell. The whole point of this was to see if you can really tell a difference or have a preference of a wood shell with reinforcement hoops versus a wood shell without. That was my own kind of quest, and I invited my good friend Carter McLean on, so we're gonna kind of blindfold test 6 different demos. I kind of explained the whole concept once we're talking to Carter, so I won't belabor it here, but I played just the basic beat, some individual hits, basic beat. One tuning is kind of what felt like the drum wanted to be tuned at, and then the second example is each drum was tuned identically to the exact same frequency, so you can hear them kind of where I think they wanted to be, which is a little bit different for each drum, and then with them all tuned to the exact same sort of medium-high tuning. I'm not really trying to guess, it's more like, what do you like, what do you not like, which is your kind of personal preference, and then we reveal what they are at the end. So let's just get into it. This is a really fun one. Hope you want to hear some snare drums. Let's check out some maple drums with Carter McLean.
Nervous.
I'm nervous.
I am. I'm nervous because it's going to be like, well, what do you hear? And I'm going to say something. You're going to be like, no, that's 100% the opposite of what we got going here. It's okay.
Not a quiz. I think a lot of these shootouts for me are kind of like, let's go down the rabbit hole and then ultimately decide, does it really, really matter?
I'm going to answer now. No. Sure doesn't. But it is fun. Even though we both know that it's like, you go to some random gigs in the city, they're like, oh, it's a CB700 kit from 1981 that's still here. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But sometimes those are really fun gigs because the kit is so bizarre sounding. You play stuff you would never normally play on like a quote-unquote perfectly tuned kit,
Yeah. The one at the pianos was always kind of fun. It was like an old Slingerland.
Oh, yeah.
And just depending on what band was there before you, this is what you got.
Yeah, same thing at Rockwood. Like, I think they have an old Slingerland kit there, and I've seen Blade play on that exact kit. Sounds exactly like Brian Blade. I've seen Tony Mason play on it. Sounds just like Tony. It's all in your hands.
And there's that Camco kid at New Blue that I think is, what's his face that plays with Bill Frisell?
Kenny?
Yeah, I think it's Kenny's kit. It's been there for
cool.
forever, and the heads haven't been touched in 15 years. It's exactly the same. It's so weird, but so great.
Yeah, Kenny's one of my favorite drummers, man. He's so People are like, who's that? I'm like, oh, go look up Kenny Wallace and everybody.
I know, it's a trip.
He's incredible. I used to see him all the time in the city when he was playing with Tony Shear and my old friend Nora Jones at the old living room before she was Nora Jones. And I was like, man, who is this guy? And all of a sudden it was like, oh, he plays with Frizzell and he plays with this person and that person. Like, incredible drummer.
Did you ever hear that record he made where he's playing on like balloons? The whole record is him playing balloons. Like balloon drums. He put balloons over cans or something, and that's the whole record.
I wouldn't be surprised. He plays with this great singer-songwriter Jesse Harris, who I really like.
Okay.
He wrote like a lot of those Nora hits like that blew up on that record. And he plays with him all the time, and always really cool drum sounds from that guy. That's so funny, balloons.
Yeah, I wish I could find it.
to our point today, doesn't really matter. You could go get some water balloons and put a mic on them.
Yep.
But let's go down this rabbit hole.
Okay, so the whole point of this experiment was, what does a reinforcement hoop do to a drum sound, specifically a snare drum sound? Because I had theories and I've kind of researched it, but I never really A-B'd it. And I realized I've got 6 identical drums, pretty much, just with some having reinforcement rings and some not.
Wow.
So they're all maple.
I've never even thought about that, actually.
Really?
I've just thought about it as a structural, so that keeps the drum kind of in shape, especially with if you're using a much thinner shell.
Right. And I think historically that's what they were for, to keep drums from falling out around. But with today's manufacturing, you don't really need that.
Right.
So why do some people still put them in there?
They look cool.
They look cool. So here is our group. We have, let's go with the straight shells first. We have a Bucks County Prime. They're all 5.5 by 14. They're all maple.
Oh, you're going to give me the dimensions. Okay.
Yeah, they're all the same size. They're all 5.5 by 14. They're all maple. We have a Bucks County Prime Series, which is 8-ply maple, straight shell, no re-rings. That's one drum. We have another straight shell, which is a Keller shell. It is their Magnum series, which is thicker plies of maple. So it's 7 plies of maple. That's the same width as a 10-ply maple shell. So thicker plies of maple. I think that's kind of like what the Yamaha's Maple Custom shell is. Straight shell, no re-rings. That was built out by MCD Percussion down in Philly for me years ago. We have another Keller 10-ply shell that has maple hoops, but it's a straight shell, no re-rings. All the other drums have triple flange hoops on it.
Maple hoops.
Yeah. So that's a Guy, is the company is Guy, Gaai. He uses this 10-ply Keller shell, and it's got big old thick maple rims on it. That's our straight shells. For our re-ring group, we have another Bucks County. This is their special edition, 6-ply maple with 4-ply maple re-rings. So it's a 10-ply ultimate at the bearing edge. We have a Premier Signia from the 90s.
Yes, those were great.
5-ply maple with solid beach re-rings.
Oh, I'll be able to hear that a mile away.
And the last one is a Craviato steam bent single ply with solid maple re-rings.
I think I'll be able to pick out the solid shell.
Oh, yeah, all right. All right.
You're like, don't set yourself up for that game.
I don't think I could pick them out, and I'm the one that recorded them.
All right.
So what do we got? I'll give you kind of our demos here. I tuned all the drums up identically at first, like very high. I kind of took the batter head up as high as it would go before it started to choke. They're all identical. And then what I did was I just slowly backed off the tuning until I felt like the drum started to open up. So the first playing example you're going to hear for each drum is where the shell started to resonate most. Okay. So it's going to be different for each drum. And then the second example, I tuned them all identically to what I would think of like medium high, which is F sharp below A440, whatever that is.
Look at you. F sharp.
Yeah, so here's how nerdy it is. I think I remember you tuning the Lion King snare around A. So it's about a minor third below.
You know that?
I just take a chromatic tuner and I'm a nerd, dude.
It is funny though, like out of all of, I don't know, I probably have 20 snare drums or something. I could grab any one of them off the shelf. And unless they're like tuned really messed up, like really, really dead or absolutely pegged, they usually are like in such a similar range note-wise. I think everyone has a thing in their ear that's like, yep, that's where that sound to me should live.
Yeah.
It's weird. I've found that a lot of the times that's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think because they're all 14s, there's just a spot where that size drum wants to sit. Yep. But it was interesting because what I was listening to when playing them was where it felt like the drum was like opening up. It was like something about the air was what I was noticing. Did
you find that it was different per drum?
Pretty drastically different. Some opened up at the higher tuning than others, and some needed to be quite a bit lower to open up.
I think the solid shells probably felt pretty good cranked.
Just setting yourself up for failure, maybe. I don't know.
I was just playing this prototype snare I worked on. That's a solid walnut shell with tulip re-rings.
Okay. So a softer re-ring.
And strictly for looks.
The re-rings just for looks?
Yeah. They were like, so we'll do walnut re-rings. I was like, no. We're going to do a contrasting color, obviously.
Now, I think solid drums have to have re-rings. I think that's the one difference. Because that thing will just flare open eventually.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear these. I'm sure
Yeah.
they all sound ridiculously nice, so that's going to be a problem. But
Yeah, none of them sound bad. I mean, I did miking wise. I mean, you're going to hear a lot of snare drum there and a lot of tone. There's 4 mics on the snare drum. There's 2 on top, 1 on bottom, and 1 on the side.
oh my god,
There's a mono overhead. There's a hi-hat mic, and there's 2 bass drum mics. That's it. No rooms or anything like that.
that's it. That's 6 more mics than I use for my whole kit.
Right.
This is literally the mic I use basically at 95% of the mix.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the mono overhead I have is one of those Mojave tube mics, and it's really amazing. I could just do that.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
It's such a rabbit hole. Like, I just mic'd up my new big kit with, like, Cole's mono overhead, Earthworks stereo wide, Earthworks tom mics on everything, an old Unidyne on the snare, 2 kick mics, a 414 as a room mic. And I pulled it all up, and I'm like, yeah, this sounds cool. And then I just went, like, mono, Cole's, room mic, and kick, and was like, yeah, that's better.
That's better.
I think there's something about there's so much information that you start to, it's not even a phase thing. I just think it starts to, like, it's diminishing returns kind of thing. Like, it almost cancels the other shit out, and it makes it just harder to hear like you're in the room,
Mm-hmm.
But it's different. Everybody, I mean, Matt Chamberlain puts a mic on everything, and he sounds pretty good. So.
Yeah, I struggle with overheads. Like that stereo spread, I just don't like it. I don't dig it. I don't like what it does to the kit, but everybody wants it.
You throw one in the garbage, and then you just do mono.
Right.
Done.
I think we use the same bass drum mic, the D12 VR.
Thing is killer.
That's killer. I got that on the outside.
Oh, outside. That's interesting.
Yep. So I use the Shure Beta 91A inside.
Okay. Nice.
What are the mics I got? 57 on top, a blue Hummingbird on top, 57 on bottom, and the new Austrian Audio. I should have written down the model, but it looks kind of like a hockey puck that's aimed at the side of the shell. You'll see in the videos when we reveal what the mystery drums are.
Do you have like a satin sheet that you lift off? Sparkles go everywhere.
Ooh, I might have to do that.
Next time you got that's kind of make it exciting that way.
So it's going to be, I mean, it's a lot of drums here. 6 drums, and it's all identical. I'm playing a measure of, so I do 5 notes, so quiet up through a rim shot, 1 note per measure. And then I do like 2 bars of a basic beat. So you've got the, what I felt like was the ideal tuning, and then the consistent tuning. So if you're not into this stuff.
Ideal tuning is first that we're going to hear, and then you do the...
Yep.
Okay.
So you're going to start with where I felt like the drum opened up, and then end consistently. They're all tuned identically. Even though it might not sound like it, I swear they were tuned identically.
Now, do you want me to just tell you what each drum is as you play it, and just hit like a home run on each one of these? Or do you want me to just comment like a wine tasting and say, I'm getting hints of mahogany?
Yeah, I think just
although in this case, it would be,
notes.
I'm getting hints of maple.
Yeah, it's all maple. Yeah. I think we just want notes, because here's what I noticed a difference playing it. I don't know if it translates to the microphone. The way that the drum the envelope kind of goes. Like when you hit the initial attack, what happens right after that? Some of them kind of dipped down, some of them kind of stayed even, which inspired me to play differently, not in these demos, but when I was just messing around, it was a different attitude. Very different.
Yeah, one of them will make you want to play like Mike Clark, and the other one will make you play like Keltner.
Yeah, and then some of them makes you want to play like Josh Freese.
Oh,
just like it's just
solid shell.
Yeah, just solid punch. Well, I don't know if it was a solid show. We'll find out.
All right, let's listen to these things.
Okay, so what I did was I just randomly typed letters on the keyboard for each file, so I have no idea what we're listening to.
All right, so are we? This is ridiculous. DSPGKJ?
Yep, that's what we're going to start with.
I'm not the eye doctor all of a sudden.
All right, so let's listen to this sucker. All right.
It's a nice drum. I like the second tuning better.
A little bit lower.
Yeah, that's just my preference in general. But really nice overtone. It's got a nice, attack. Did you try to set all the snare tensions the same? Because that, to me, makes a big difference.
I did my best, yeah. I mean, they weren't identical. Some had 20, some had 16. But what I did with the wires is I took them up right where they start to choke and then backed it off like a tiny little bit.
Okay.
So not too loose, not too tight.
That's a nice, I was like, yeah, you could just take that on any gig and you're done.
Yep. Sounded pure, very pure to me.
Yeah, really nice attack, and then kind of a nice warm overtone. No funky, like weird resonance out of it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I would leave that in a song. I wouldn't put tape or anything on that, as long as the producer was happy.
Yep.
And I'm using my in-ears, so I can really, really hear what's going on. Sounds awesome.
I have a guess on what that is, but I'm not going to say it yet.
Yeah, I got to hear all of these things before. I will say that that's like a beautiful sounding drum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that could be it. Use that on, you're good to go. You don't need 5 more drums.
It's definitely not a solid shell, though.
All right.
It's a ply drum.
I'm going to make a note. Carter says not solid. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. EP2.
Here we go. Love that brand.
Okay.
I prefer that one to A.
Okay. So
I think it's a warmer sound.
I'm going to just start numbering these so we can change them as they go. So you're going to put this at number 1 for now.
Yeah, I guess we'll do 1 out of 6. So yeah, we've only heard 2, but I prefer that one. That's a really nice sounding drum. Hints of a solid shell, but I'm not locking that in.
Okay.
I feel like you can really hear it when you play on the very opposite ends of the spectrum. Very quiet to the rim shot thing is where I feel like you can kind of hear it, which is weird. You would think it would be in the middle range, but to me, because I have 3 solid shells. I have a Craviato, this prototype one, and then an old Ludwig that's a solid shell. And they all, that one's like from the 40s, and they all have, the one from the 40s is a little warmer, maybe just due to the age, but they just have a certain crack to them that's just, it's more like clear. It's not as many overtones, but who knows?
That's what I noticed. A little bit shorter sustain, it felt like.
Yeah, but this drum sounded, this was really nice sounding. It was like, it's just very warm.
All right, I have my guess as well.
I'm not even gonna guess. I mean, that's
Or
I am curious. Do you use the same head?
G1s on everything.
I was gonna say either a UV1 or a G1.
Yep.
Those are great heads, man. I was using the UV1 for a long time, and then I just got a set of G1s that I put on a couple different, like one kit and a snare, and they just kind of do everything really nicely.
Yeah, that's my default. I do have a UV1 on my gigging snare, and it's been on there for over a year, and it has no signs of wear, like zero. It can't be good for business.
Yeah, I mean, at Lion King, it's 8 shows a week, and the snare drum's getting used all the time. I've got a UV1 on it. It looks brand new.
It's insane. I don't know what happens. They'll just break. I don't know. I never pushed one to the end.
It'll never break. It'll just like you buy one head and you're done.
Way to go, D'Addario.
Their tech is high level stuff, man.
What's your kick head of choice?
For like the open kind of soul jazz thing, I go with usually a UV1 on the batter and a calf tone on the front.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll do 2 calf tones.
Okay. I haven't messed with those yet.
Because then when you have it kind of tuned up and there's nothing in it, those kind of really high zingy overtones are kind of out a little bit more with those. And then if I'm going straight like bebop kit, they actually custom made me a couple 18-inch Strata 1000 bass drum heads.
They got to make those.
Those are really dope. I was like, those should just be in the catalog.
Yeah,
they
sound
amazing. Those. And those are like my default bebop kind of heads for toms. They sound great. They have a really nice articulation, beautiful sound. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about ERKJ.com.
All right, drum number 3, ERKJ. Hopefully everyone is confused by now and taking notes.
Here we go. Number 3.
All right.
Shorter sustain, a little sharper. I'm going to say that was a solid shell drum.
All right. I'm putting it in all caps, solid shell.
I'm going to lock that in.
What I noticed, and I'm not going to say which type of drum gave me this response the most, was if the pitch dips afterwards. Mm-hmm. That was a consistent kind of quality I noticed with one type of drum over the other, where it's re-rings versus no re-rings.
Or you mean this solid shell drum we just listened to?
I ain't saying what the shell is. I'm saying I think I know if it has re-rings or not.
Oh, that changes. You're saying that's what adds.
Yeah, that dip. Pitch dip I noticed was one type of shell had that more than the other.
Oh.
Because they were tuned identically, I promise you. There was no difference. So I have a guess for this one. I'm a little bit unfair because I was the one who made the demos, but I think I know which one that is. All right, let's move on.
You're giving me no read as it's correct. Good poker player, I bet. That's okay.
except for I don't care about gambling.
Ouer.
Our. So this is number 4 for those of you playing at home.
Still, my favorite is number 2 so far.
I would say the same. I want to make that in there. So would this be your third or second?
The one we just heard?
Yep.
I prefer that one to the first one. So right now, for me, it's the second. It's my first choice.
Yep.
Third is second choice, and first is last choice. If that's not confusing for everybody.
What's going to be amazing is if you prefer all like one type of shell. It's going to be. It does matter.
So far, that second one to me has stood out, but we're only halfway done. So let's go to Ouer.
Ouer, here we go. All right.
I'm going to say that has no re-rings and it's the thinnest shell.
Okay. No rings. Thinnest shell.
I think. It's a very pure note.
So I think that would make that, for you, the Bucks County Prime series. Because the other thin no ring has wood hoops. Would you guess that has wood hoops?
I don't think that has hoops.
No hoops at all? Wood hoop? I mean, like rims.
I think you're just rim shotting ahead and hoping for the best. No. Oh, right. There's one with wood hoops.
Yeah, that's an oddball in there.
That could be that second one, because that had a real warm... Let me listen to that real quick. That might be that second one. I forgot about that other option. But
right,
possible wood hoops on number 2.
Okay.
For all those listeners tuning in, the brand is EP2.
EP2.
Beautiful company out of Taiwan.
All right, so where would you put this number 4?
I would move that into my second favorite. So now it would be number 1 I still like is the second one. Then the fourth would be my second choice. Then the third would be my third choice. And then the first one would be my fourth choice.
It's interesting that you keep moving that first one down, because the first thing you said was that's a drum you could use on anything.
It is, but most maple drums you can just, there's just like a warmth. I mean, here, I'm just going to go back and listen to it for 2 seconds. There's a little bit of a, it's like a crispy high end on that. Which is fine. It'll probably sound great behind a rock band or funk band, but like it's not as warm. I like, as you know, like very kind of rattly, warm, kind of oddly, weirdly tuned snares, like medium to lower tuning. Like when I crank like my Acrolite or something, I kind of don't know what to do with it at that point. It's just like pop. All right, that's kind of it. You know, it sounds great for that, but it's not as exciting to play when it's that cranked for me. It also just feels like you're playing on a marble countertop, which doesn't feel great.
Yeah, I struggle with that. The bebop tuning that most people use, I can't. I feel like my shoulders have to go up. I'm like, what is this? I can't do this.
Yeah, and the drums really do choke out when they're that crank. It's just like it just sounds like you're like choking somebody to death. It's like, man, the drums should breathe a little bit. Let them like bring them down an octave at least.
Right.
I mean, but look, Bill Stewart sounds fucking great, and he cranks his toms.
Yeah, and his snare wires are so tight. I didn't realize that until he played MD Fest when I got to go like hit his drums. The wires were like so tight. It was unbelievable. Like way beyond choking. Like,
oh wow, so like super like, well, he's such an articulate player, it makes sense for how he you know. And that's the thing, everyone's like, oh, how do you tune this? I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter. It's like tuned to how you like to play and what works for your playing. If I sat on Bill's kit, I would sound like doo-doo.
Yeah, likewise.
I just would be like, well, that's not how I hear these, but I love hearing him, you know, play them. So
I got to sound check Tane's kit when he played the festival.
Oh, wow.
And that was like sitting on a comfy couch. It was like everything about it was just exactly what I wanted the drums to sound like. It was so nice.
Yeah, he's always had a beautiful, consistent sound.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Always. Same with Blade. I mean, those two guys, it's funny you brought up Tane. Those two guys, I probably enjoy the sound of their kits more than most, really. Because it's up. It's like a note that's like singing, but it's like really where the drum wants to live, and it's like very open. You know, and not too much zing and attack, and not too many annoying overtones. It's just really warm.
Yeah,
but musical.
The other side of it drives me nuts too, when it's too clean and too like precise, where I feel like you hit the drum and it's like you're hitting a keyboard tom note.
Yeah, that's why there was a previous drum company. I'm not going to name names. Like a long time ago when I was a kid, when I was like in high school, that I worked with. And they're beautiful drums. They're like incredible, beautifully made drums. But every time I would hit a tom, it was like, do. I'm like, that's too much. Yeah, I just wanted to go, D. That's it. I don't need an opera singer every time I hit a tom. It's just like, Jesus. But,
all right, so we are at...
Potato.
Sosoy is the next one. Sosois. Sosoy. We are at the last two drums here. This is number 5.
Ooh. I think that might have just moved into first place for me.
All right. You know what? I think that might be the solid show. That's my guess.
Man, why are you blowing up my guess like that?
I don't know
which
one it is.
Drum. That's a great drum. It's a little brighter than the second one, which was my first choice, but it's got like a really, really nice thing. The way I really liked how it was tuned. The lower tuning. That was like right off of a record. That sounded great.
All right. I'm going to leave it at that. That's your number one. I noticed a little bit shorter note, pretty wide frequency range. It did have some of that dip, which makes me think it has re-rings.
Very subtly, though. I've been listening for that. It's like very subtle dip.
Yeah. I was going to go so nerdy as to show the waveform on screen so you can see what it does, but I think we're going nerdy enough. We're not going to go that far.
Dude, let's get the microscope out. That's a great drum. I mean, look, all of these drums sound great. Like,
yeah, there's no duds in here.
You put a bass player and a singer on top of this, and it's like all of that stuff is kind of gone. You know what I mean? It's like, cool, sounds like a nice crack. And a lot of it just comes down to how you're hitting the drum. You know what I mean? Like if you're hitting a dead center hit that's not a rim shot, and then the next one is a half of an inch to the right, it's going to sound different. That to me is going to be more of a variable than anything, really. You know, I mean.
Oh, I didn't say that in the groove part. It's a measure of rim shots and a measure of no rim shots. That's how it's.
Yeah, that's what I was listening for.
Yeah,
but rim shots always win for me.
Yeah. All right, we got one more, man.
VKNV.
VKNV is the last drum. It's going to be the solid shell.
For me, it's kind of like I have two that I feel that are different, which I'll be very curious. It'll probably be like the solid shell and then the finished shell. It'll be like something that doesn't make any sense.
I hope so. Would you put that somewhere in the middle? Was it your least favorite?
I think my favorite is the SOS drum.
Mm-hmm.
And then my second favorite is number 2. And then the rest of them all like sound nice, but they're, to me, I lean towards warmer drums, like a thin six lug old Pioneer made out of whatever, mahogany. I think those were made out of, sound amazing to me. Like that drum right there. Those just sound awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Any way you tune them, they're like, yep, that sounds really nice. Also, I think every drum company should bring back an option to have a 6 lug snare.
I agree.
It's so silly.
They're so fun.
So silly.
Yeah. They
feel great. You don't really ever need to tune a drum beyond, like you can get them pretty cranked. And if you need to go the extra nth degree, great. Go get your 10 lug snare with die-cast tubes and have a field day. But like just having that option, I feel like I'm going to try to push Ludwig so they do that.
You hear that, Ludwig?
We talked about it.
We do sell 6 lug hoops at DFT.
Yeah, I'm going to be calling you about that. So that's my choices. Those, the number 2 and number 5. Number 5 is my favorite, the SOS drum. The help me, I sound so good, rescue me. Okay,
so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at all these videos.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
All right. So for your first pick is which one? SOS?
SOS.
All right.
That was the warmest drum to me.
Here we go. I am surprised. I didn't know it was going to be this drum. It is an 8-ply straight shell maple. It's this guy. So that's a straight shell, 8-ply maple.
Is that thin, or is it roughly the same shell thickness?
It's roughly the same thickness.
Okay. So just no re-rings. Okay.
No re-rings. There you go. Bucks County wins. What was your number 2?
EP2. Eptoy.
Eptoy. Wow, this is not what I thought it was going to be either. Wow, dude. Check this out. This is the Keller straight shell Magnum 7-ply.
Straight shells.
Straight.
Just they got it right. Just don't play around with it.
That is a great drum. All right, I got to look at my notes here.
Is that a 10 lug?
That's a 10 lug, 7-ply, thick old 7-ply. So SOS.
I usually don't like 10. What do I know?
I got the SOS correct. I guessed it was going to be that Prime series. And this is the, what is this one again? Eptoy?
Yeah. The MCD.
Yeah. You had said maybe the solid or wood hoop drum. Nope, quite the opposite.
Yeah, couldn't be more wrong.
Straight shell, 10 lugs.
It's a plastic drum with an Evans hydraulic head on it.
Oh, wow. What was your number 3? Let's see.
I don't remember.
I marked it. I've got
I think it was number.
It would have been Oer.
We still haven't found the solid shell yet. I'm still not wrong by that.
So,
right?
Your pick number 3 is the Craviato.
Oh, look at that
1998 Craviato early.
Is that your drum?
Yeah, it was one that was given to Modern Drummer for like a 20th anniversary or something. And then Johnny at NAN, last time I saw him, he said, take that drum home and play it.
Oh my God.
So it's on permanent loan in my studio.
What a gift, dude. That is a gorgeous drum.
So that is, what was it again?
So yeah, I called it. That was the solid shell that I called, right?
No, you said this was going to be the one that had no re-rings and the thinnest shell.
Folks, this is why I don't build drums. I just play them.
I think it probably has the thickest shell and it has re-rings.
That was which one?
Oer.
Get out of here.
Yep.
Hold on. That first tuning does sound great, though, on that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think...
That was my third favorite?
Yep.
It's interesting because they are all maple, so it's like... Have you done that game? Like all 5-inch drums, like walnut, mahogany. You've done that game?
Yep. Yeah, we had birch, oak, ash, maple, cherry, and walnut.
Did anybody guess any of those correctly?
It was pretty... I didn't do a guessing game with that one. It was just more of a comparison. It was like the walnut and the oak and ash were the 3 that were like so very different.
Yeah.
But... like I think when it's one manufacturer making them all, there's there's tweaks that are made to like the edges or something that kind of get them all kind of in the same world.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. I'll have to revisit that and maybe do a blindfold test.
That snare you got, that's Johnny's. That's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Have you ever seen the walnut one he gave me?
Not in person.
Similar. Here, hold on. I'll just show you. So this is like old school with the old badge.
Yeah. Probably about the same era as the one I have here.
Yeah, and then solid. This is 2002, I guess. It's right when I moved to New York, and solid walnut re-rings. And I toured with this drum for a long time. And I didn't even order it, dude. I met him at NAMM. He had just started working with DW like the year before. I think I was still with DW then, and he had like a walnut one, an oak one, and I came over to this exact drum and was like playing some rolls on it, and he came over and was like, man, you sound really great on that drum. And I said, oh, thanks, man. I didn't know who he was. He's like, oh, I build these. And I'm like, oh, shit. And so he got my address from somebody at DW. And like 6 months later, my mom called and was like, "Hey, there's some drum at the house for you from Johnny Craviatos."
Whoa.
I was like, that's not his name, but I know his name.
Yahtzee.
Johnny Craviatos. I was like, nope. And I was like, how big is the box? And she's like, oh, it's like, I don't know, like 2 feet by 2. And I was like, can you open it? She opens it. She's like, oh my God, there's this beautiful drum in here. And I was just like, I go, is there a bill? And she was like, no, there's nothing in here. It's just a drum. And I'm like, so I called him and I was just like, hey dude, I can't, like, you know, it's like a $1,200 drum back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I can't afford this drum. Like, I don't know if you misunderstood or something, but I got to send this back. And he's like, oh, no, man, it's a gift from me to you. Like, I thought you sounded great on it. I just thought you should have one. And I was like,
unbelievable.
What a sweetheart of a guy.
Unbelievable.
So that drum will be probably buried with me.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. Super cool. We both got a cool gift from Johnny.
I know. He didn't know me from Adam either, but I saw him at the NAMM show and I was like, man, we have this drum you built back for the 20th anniversary. It's just in a display case. He grabbed me by the shoulder. He said, Mike, take that drum home and effing play it. I was like, yes, sir.
I mean, dude, he played with like Neil Young.
Right. Yeah.
You know, he was out playing. He was super tight with Keltner. I think I even gave his wife and daughter a tour of Lion King once. They came to the city and I hooked them up and like showed them around backstage. And what a sweetheart of a guy, man.
Amazing. Well, we've got 3 more.
Pull that drum out and play it. Okay, so I've been literally 100% wrong on everything so far.
Yes, me too. I mean, let's see. The first one
just goes to show you, folks, you don't really know what you know.
Trust your ears.
Know anything.
So the fourth one is our ERKJ. Let me share my screen. So this is...
Did I guess a wood hoop drum? Did I put a guess down for that?
You didn't.
Ugh.
I think the last one was the wood hoop drum, the VKNV.
Oh, interesting.
This one is, so you had said shorter, sustained, sharper. You had guessed the solid shell. This is actually a 6-ply with 6-ply maple re-rings by Bucks County.
So, almost solid.
Yeah.
But mostly just plies of wood.
Yeah, pretty much 100% plies of wood.
Just all plies, not one. Okay.
Yeah.
So that probably, to me, to my ear, a solid shell has a little more bite to it.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I'm wrong. Now I'm going to have to dust off the Craviato and play it today.
Yeah, which one was the Craviato? That was the one you thought had the thinnest shell.
That was my third favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, you thought that was a thin shell with no rings, and it's
Which is crazy.
And it's a thick shell.
Could not be more opposite. It's like, this is actually a bell brass with die-cast tubes. Nice job.
Yeah. All right, number 5, which was your least favorite throughout. I mean, that's kind of unfair to the drum. It was the one you said...
not to say it's my least. They all, like, sounded great. There was no bad drum. It's just preference.
Yeah, this was the one that you said could be used for anything, but you wouldn't necessarily prefer it.
This was number 1.
Yep. Look at this. I was way wrong. This is the wood hoop drum.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable.
That is a crazy drum. Who makes that?
Guy, Gaai. He used to work for Pork Pie and then went out on his own. So all those, that's actually hand-cut veneers.
Oh, my God.
It's pretty insane on the hoops and on the shell.
Jeez, that's
pretty
lot of
nuts.
Work.
Yeah. But that's a 10-ply thin Keller shell with wood hoops.
I mean, that's tough, too, because right out of the gate, I would have not guessed that was a wood hoop drum.
No way.
And those are thick, like, those are like the old school Yamaha ones that are big.
I thought that was the thick Magnum 7-ply.
What do we know, man?
Absolutely nothing.
You can do some paradiddles. You can tune the hell out of a drum, though, that's for sure. So
that leaves the last one, which I never would have thought it was going to be, my first pro drum, an old Premier Signia.
Oh, I love those. They're so ridiculous. Those lugs are ridiculous. I forgot how big those are.
Yeah, and the gold is all pitted. So that's a 5-ply shell with solid beach re-rings. Interesting.
10 lug.
No, they're 10 lug.
Yeah. Those kits were, I remember, didn't they make a series like that with wooden hoops?
Yeah, that was like their anniversary series, 10th anniversary or something like that. Black hoops. Yeah,
I worked at Manny's for like 6 months with Guy Licata, actually, when we both first moved to New York. And I remember we had one of those in this shop, and we both were like, this kit sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, that was my first pro kit. Still have it. I sold the 10-inch tom to Carson up in Canada.
Oh, wow.
Because he has the same kit. He just wanted the 10-inch tom. It's like, well.
Oh, my God. Enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy. So I have 12, 14, 16, 20 with the matching snare.
Oh, 20. That's dope. You still have it.
I still have it. I still have it. Interestingly.
I'm still bummed. I sold my first pro kit. I'm so bummed. I have videos of it, and I'm like, ugh.
What was it?
It was a Pearl BLX Prestige series, Birch.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be Manu. So it was that sheer blue stain, 10, 12, 13 racks, like power toms.
Of course.
16, I had the Pearl black rack.
Of course, yeah.
And I had a Noble and Cooley black with brass lug, that like piccolo kind of Phil Collins snare.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
And you got rid of all of it?
Sold all of it. I mowed so many lawns to pay for that snare drum.
No doubt.
Sold that thing like an idiot. I'm like, oh, it doesn't sound right. I'm like, stupid.
That's the one. That's the match.
All of you guys out there, gals and guys, hang on to your first kits. Even if you're like, I'm not going to play it. One day you will dust that off and be so psyched you kept it.
Yep. I sold my red Pearl Export to the bass player that I was working with right before I moved to college. And he turned around and flipped it and made like a couple $100.
Oh, man.
I was like, you son of a... I was going to eventually ask for that back, dude.
You're like, this wasn't the game plan, buddy.
I mean, within like a day, he's like, I don't like the power toms. He just flipped it.
Oh, my God.
Never play with him again. True story.
That's what you get, buddy.
Well, did we learn anything today, Carter? We learned that you like straight shells, believe it or not.
Well, that's not surprising. Actually, you know what? Let me look at this drum. There's this drum right here.
I mean, you have a classic maple snare. I think that's straight.
Yep, that is just a straight. So there's this drum. I actually should show you this because it's kind of funny. This is a funny story real quick. So this drum shell was in... It was just the shell. Was in the garbage at the Ludwig factory when I was down there touring the factory. And I was like, dude, that's a really nice Duco shell. Why is that in the trash? And they're like, oh, there was a paint flaw. I looked through the whole thing. I couldn't find one flaw. I said, can I take it? And they're like, yeah, go for it. So I took it out, bought some lugs for it from them, had some hoops, sandpapered my own bearing edge. I don't know what I was doing. I was just like, I guess it dips down.
For real?
Yeah. This is a straight, I think it's their, I think it's maple poplar.
Okay.
I don't even know. But it's a straight shell, as you can see, just like couldn't be more standard.
Yeah.
I also just took a drill and drilled a hole in it, and you can see it's all chipped. And I glued that badge is a glued on Alex Van Halen anniversary copper badge.
Where did you get that?
They gave me a couple of them. They were like, oh, check these out. They're kind of a cool, like, limited thing. We have some laying around. So I just Frankensteined that thing together. That drum sounds amazing. And it's just straight, no BS, custom bearing, or custom snare bed.
The C-Max, C-Max special.
I'll sell it if anybody wants. It's $3,000.
I'm sure the guys at Ludwig's like, dude, don't show that drum.
Yeah. Look, that's not a Ludwig drum. That's a custom made. I built that drum.
That's a freaking fake.
I'm actually going to compare that and the Craviatos solid shell. And I have this other 6.5 inch solid from it's a Noble and Cooley shell that I was working on an idea with. Be curious now that I know this.
What is the matching one on your big kit?
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
That's just a classic maple.
I think that's a straight shell too then.
Yeah, no re-rings. It's a little bit thicker because it's an exotic series kit. It's 2 more plies, so I think it's a 9-ply maple with just straight shell. They sound sweet. I mean, I'm stoked on that kit. That snare drum also sounds really, really, really great. It's just, again, it's like maple, good bearing edge, flat, good to go. Learn how to hit a drum, have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
5, 6, 7, 8. Let's go.
5, 6, 7, 8. Spoken like a true musical theater guy.
Man, it's too bad you're not there anymore, dude. Like, I put in a flat screen TV mounted on the wall.
I know, I'm jealous. I saw
pretty sweet.
Carlitos sent me a picture. I was like, come on, that ain't cool.
Got a couch, got a TV, got a fridge. The sound department, when they mounted the TV, was like, so when do you just start sleeping here? I mean, I still like going home, but
snow days, you never know.
Oh, dude, if there was like a big storm or something, I would just close my door, turn the lights off, and go to sleep. Yeah. I mean, it's like that couch folds out into a bed. It's ridiculous. But 25 years into it, might as well upgrade, make it as comfortable as possible.
True that. 25 years in, geez, Pete. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks. Well, I've been there 21, but still, it's like anything over a couple of years doing that many nights a week, it's just like insane.
Yeah, at some point we have to talk about the psychology of that. How do you stay sane after watching the same movie every day?
Yeah, you don't. People are like, do you know all the lines? I'm like, I know everything. I know. Yeah. I know my body knows the spaces between songs. Like, I'll be fully typing an email, watching a movie, doing something, and I don't even know what's going on, but all of a sudden I have a mallet in my hand and I'm doing a cymbal swap. It's really freaky. It's like you absorb it in a way.
I remember when I first came to observe, you told me when to take a pee break. Like, this is when you go. And then I learned that's also when Scar is coming down, like quickly coming down to the basement. So you gotta wait. You gotta wait like a couple extra seconds so you don't collide.
Get a mask right to the face.
I did that once. It's like, whoa, okay. Next time I gotta wait 5 seconds before I
take
run.
2 deep breaths and then you can go. Yeah, it's weird. We could talk about that sometime. It's a pretty rare thing. There's not very many gigs that run that long. Even if you're on a cycle with a big artist, maybe it's 2 years at the max. And you're not playing. You're not playing every night. You're playing maybe 3-4 shows a week and travel and all that. So that's the crazy part of it. It's just so condensed. It's 8 shows a week, every week.
Same room. Yeah. Same commute. You're seeing the same people on the train, like over and over.
Yeah, man. It's like thank God it's like same bass player with Tom. It's like, I'm so spoiled playing with him. It's incredible.
Yeah. Right.
He's going to play on my new record that I'm going to try to do this summer.
Dope. New record this summer. And then what else should we promote? Your website's still rolling?
Yeah, cartermclean.com. I'm not teaching privately this year, so that's kind of the only way to, I guess, quote, study with me. I am doing 2 clinics in my town in Ridgefield, Connecticut. They may be sold out. March 11th and March 25th. The 11th is beginner intermediate, which I've never done, a beginner class. And then the 25th is intermediate advanced.
Sweet. How do you find out about that? Eventbrite or something?
You could just go to the Ridgefield Playhouse's website. There's a big ad that's got like a silly picture of me on there. What's cool is Mavis Staples is playing the night after my clinic, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
So it's like a big picture of me and then Mavis Staples. I'm like, oh, that's dope.
That's awesome. But we're going to try to get you into Pittsburgh sometime in the next year or two.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that. I could still maybe figure that out this year at some point. But like just the private one-on-one teaching thing, I'm just taking a break just to kind of like re-up on my own personal playing. Like when you're teaching so much and like trying to explain stuff to people, it's like it starts to take away from where you're trying to go,
True that.
So I just wanted to stop and kind of pursue my own stuff in my head. So we've got some new exercises I should send you there.
Nice.
It's hard. I could definitely do another book, but it's fun.
I can only do about half of the first one, so we can wait a bit.
You can play the whole thing. I've had so many people say, oh man, I got your book. It was great. I finished it in the first week. And I'm like,
No, you didn't.
Okay.
You're a big fat liar.
I called that one guy and I was like, cool, send me he said, I'd love to see you play this page. And he sends it to me and he's like, well, it's not, it was like the excuses before he even started playing were just like flying out of his mouth. I'm like, dude, just say you're working on it.
Yeah.
I'm still working on it. Like, give me a break.
I mean, I transcribed the crap and my body can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, and thank you for doing that. There was no way that book would have not happened if you didn't say yes to that. So I appreciate you doing that.
I'm here for round 2, whenever you need it.
Yeah, they were like, when's the second one? I'm like, not for a long time. I was like, I don't want to fill up a whole other book. There's so many great books out there too. It's like, that's why I said no to the first one so many times. I just was like, I don't know. I'm still working on New Breed. Like,
right.
Yeah, I don't know. And finally, a few people, you yourself were like, yeah, you should do it. I've never seen this written out like in this way.
No, it's totally unique.
People really dug it. I mean, shit, Modern Drummer, it won Best Book of the Year that year.
That's right.
Which is kind of crazy, but.
Well, I appreciate you nerding out about snare drums. Hopefully everyone learned something or not, and learned maybe their biases or not. Who knows? But I was fooled and I made the freaking demos. So
yeah, what I've learned on all of these things, same with like cymbals and stuff. Yeah, you just don't. It's very, very hard to pick it out, especially if they're all maple, they're all the same size. I mean, even if I got 2 of these correct, I would have been like, oh, that's pretty good. It's really hard. I mean, the drum head to me makes bigger difference than what the material is in the drum, I think. First and foremost, it's how you're hitting the drum. That's it. Like, you're creating that sound. Like, I'm going to see Mike Clark tonight. He could be playing on anything, and he's going to sound just like Mike Clark.
Yep.
You know, then it's, to me, drum head. Then I would say it's the size of the drum, and then I would say what the wood is. And hoops make a big difference. Die-cast hoops make a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff doesn't translate to microphones. They definitely all felt very different. So the experience of playing them was very different, and I could see myself kind of taking a different attitude with each one.
Yeah, that's a big thing that you can't get unless you're actually playing. The feel of it. Some drums, I love the way they feel because they're like kind of soft and just feel comfortable, but maybe they're not the best sounding drum, but you're going to probably play better on that drum than you would on a quote unquote perfect sounding drum that doesn't feel great. Yeah.
You know, next time I do one of these, I should, like, instead of playing the exact same thing on everyone, play what the drum makes me want to play. And then what do you get out of that?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because that Magnum shell wanted me to just hit hard and simple and straightforward.
Right.
But the wood hoop was just a chunkier thing and made me want to sound like Steve Jordan. It just had that persona. But it didn't translate to the recording, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I would be interested in even doing take an acrylite, different size, take a 5 acrylite, take like an 8-inch maple, take like a piccolo 13 and be like, what is this? Yeah, I mean, it's so hard, you know, especially with maple.
I'll bring it back on when we do the super nerdy stuff with hoops.
Oh my God. I love the hoop thing. I still have the hoops I got from you guys on this prototype drum.
The brass ones? Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference. Brass hoops, they're expensive, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah, but if you have a couple of drums that you're your go-to drums, that's the snare I take out to most of my clinics and most stuff when I'm playing out because it's just a beautiful drum to play. And those hoops just feel great.
Mm-hmm.
They're dope.
All right. Well, stay tuned. We'll do a part 2 sometime.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's good to chat, man. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
And that is it for this week's episode. A reminder that we do have this Mark Guiliana Masterclass coming up here in Pittsburgh in April. We haven't promoted it yet, so if you're hearing this on the podcast, you're the first to know about it. We're limited to 30 seats. The ticket price is $99, but it's 2 hours up close with Mark. You can get to ask him all the questions you want. It's going to be a really fun time. It's over at Hawthorne Drum Shop. So check the link in the description. You can book your spot now. It's on April 29th, 4 to 6 p.m. That's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks for listening. If you don't mind writing a review on wherever you get this podcast, that would be much, much appreciated. And we'll see you next week.